Al-Hilal. Herrera. Ibrahimovic! Oh my God, an insane goal! I've just seen the most insane goal I have ever seen on a football pitch. Balotelli, Aguero!
Hey, everybody, welcome to the Soccer Sharps, a soccer betting podcast. And Jordan, we've arrived at the round of 16 of the Club World Cup. We went through all three Matchdays of the group phase, and I am just glad that it's done. Although it's been a lot of fun, it is just exhausting with the amount of games. There's always a new talking point, always something new going on. But how you doing, Jordan, on this Friday evening? Only the real sickos be here listening to this Friday night. Like
That's
you
right.
and I.
Yeah, cheers, Dev. Each got an alcoholic beverage. Love to see it. Yeah, look, Dev, I'm doing all right. I'm really excited for these knockouts. It was nice to have a day off today to kind of decompress a little bit, take in what we've learned from the group stages, and kick on into these knockouts. We could have done a little bit better on match day 3. More to our liking. We did have technically a losing week there, but we brought home some futures as well, so that kind of helped us out. Mixed bag, but we're still ahead for the tournament, Dev, and I'm feeling good about some of these games here. I think we've got some plays that we've picked out that hopefully will turn a profit. And Dev, something I wanted to point out about this. This may be the first time that we get to see club teams playing win-or-go-home single elimination games. You don't see that. It's all two-legged affairs until you get to a final in a Champions League format or something like that. We do see international tournaments with win-or-go-home scenarios, but this is kind of fun, man. We never get to see this, and I, for one, am really looking forward to it. You and I have talked before about how I don't really like the two-leg system. I like the playoff format. You win a game, you go on. And so I'm really looking forward to this, Dev.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I hadn't really thought of that. And how will that affect how these teams approach this, right? Because we know knockout phases of tournaments tend to be pretty cagey affairs. Are we going to see more of that? We know some of the teams that have advanced this far definitely have that in their DNA. I'm sure we'll get into that. And we're going to break down every single one of these games, the round of 16. So if there's a specific game you're looking for, you can always fast forward to that. We've got plays on all these games. George, you and I are actually oppo in a couple of places, which doesn't usually happen. And if you guys are interested in this kind of stuff, betting the Club World Cup and, the regular club season's just around the corner, go ahead and like and subscribe. Follow us. Check us out wherever you are. If it's on YouTube, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. You can get all the new notifications whenever we go live with more bets, more plays. Jordan, I'll let you know I got multiple plus money bangers in this episode, okay? I've got some plus 225 plays. I'm really excited to get into that. We'll get to those in a little bit. But, if you're listening to this on Podcast Network, go ahead and, follow us on there as well. Download the episodes so you'll never miss out on plays and this great tournament that we've had, and we're making some money. I'll throw up our results here. It wasn't our best match day of the tournament thus far. We did a little better on match day 2, but look, we went a little light, right? I only had 4 plays. It looks like you had 6 there. Still plus money for the tournament, still plus 4 units, but you and I both taken some hits, and honestly, a lot of it was just the Bayern Munich game. We expected them to score. We wanted goals in that match, and the Ukrainian keeper for Benfica, that guy just stood on his head. Incredible game. He had 6 saves. Phenomenal stuff from him. Will that factor into the handicap for Chelsea? We'll see, because they play Benfica tomorrow, but there's an earlier match, Jordan, that actually gets us started on Saturday, early morning here on the West Coast, and it is Palmeiras against Botafogo. This one sees Palmeiras as quarter goal favorites. The total set at a flat 2 here. Catherine Beefheart in the chat says, hello, Catherine. Thank you for joining us. Anyone else in the chat, if you want to jump in, throw your picks in, throw your predictions in, we'd love to hear them. And tell us if we're full of shit or if you'll be tailing our plays. George, this one is a all-Brazil matchup, right? These two teams very familiar with one another from the Brasileiro down there, the Brazilian league. kind of a bummer. They have to face off against one another here this early in the knockouts, but that's how good Brazilian teams have been. All 4 have qualified into this knockout phase. But how do you see this one going here, Jord, with these 2 familiar foes battling it out on Saturday?
Yeah, Tev, funny stuff for the Brazilians, right? They were the country that had the most teams in this tournament, 4 teams from Brazil, and they all advanced to the knockout round. Impressive stuff from Brazil. Hard to be an Argentinian right now, as none of their teams advanced. Pretty disappointing. I know a lot of people were looking forward to a River Plate versus Boca match, the Super Classico. Yeah, it didn't happen. Neither of them advanced, but we've got 4 Brazilian teams still alive. I can't tell you if this is some kind of derby. Maybe someone in the chat, if you follow the Brazil Serie A, let us know if this is a derby of any kind, or they're just a couple of teams from Brazil. But look, Dev, I was kind of surprised with the lines of this. And I think, as people who have listened to the show know, I certainly have not followed the Brazilian League. I don't know much about these teams. The first time I've really watched a full match from any of the teams from Brazil has been in this tournament. And based on what I've seen, I think these lines are a little off. I've actually been pretty impressed with Botafogo. Set it on fire, as that translates to. And Palmeiras, they've been good too, but just to the eye test, from what I've watched, I've really liked this Botafogo team. I certainly think they're about even in terms of the performances we've seen. Small sample size, 3 games, but I wonder if there is any rivalry here, and this being a knockout match, a one-and-done knockout match, I wonder if this might be a little tight, might be a little chippy. Our typical sort of knockout game that we tend to cap a lot. Obviously, with the total being as low as it is, the market is suggesting that that could be the case as well. So I wanted to bring that in here and couple that with me being impressed with Botafogo. And I'm going to take Botafogo double chance here, Dev, and raise the total a bit in a little bet builder SGP here. Botafogo double chance and under 3.5 goals. That's coming in at -125. And I think that's got a good chance to cash.
Yeah, Jordan, I like where you're going with the side here. Taking Botafogo, the dog, I think there's good value on that. The past 5 head-to-head meetings between these two, Botafogo have not lost to Palmeiras. So do with that what you will. I think this is an interesting one, right? Bob DeVita in the chat throws up over 2.5 goals in 3 of the last 5 meetings between these two. That is true. And this goes towards my handicap of this game. I'm going to cut this game in half. Look, we got the low total here. It's sitting at 2. Bob does point out that 3 of the last 5 head-to-heads have seen more than 2.5 goals. I'm going with an exact score for halftime here. I think this is 0-0 halftime. Okay, wow. You can get that at plus money. The bookies are telling you right now, look, both teams will score no, -143. Low total for the game, set at 2. Botafogo, we've seen all of their games go under so far this tournament. And, of course, they had the famous win against PSG 1-0. Palmeiras, I love you. You guys topped the group, which I had as a future. So thank you for that. A little plus 162. But I think this is going to be a familiarity breeds contempt kind of match. Really low scoring, really intense. Botafogo, even when they played a team probably lesser than them in Seattle Sounders, had absolutely no problem battening down the hatches after they went up 2-0 and just playing defense. I think this is going to be a really tight, really slow match. A lot of shots from outside the box. So I'm hoping it's going to be a 0-0 at halftime.
Yeah,
and I'll take the plus money on it. Yeah.
Bob in here, obviously in the chat calling me an idiot by pointing out that, I'm taking an under, and he's talking about all the goals that are being scored. But listen, Bob, I got to tell you, none of those 5 matches were a FIFA Club World Cup elimination soccer game. Okay? The stakes are different. This is going under.
Yeah, and it's a single leg thing. I think that is going to play into it. But let's move on, George. There's another matchup also on Saturday. It's Benfica against Chelsea. This one sees Chelsea as quarter goal favorites, and the total is set at 2.5. George, Benfica, a bit of a surprise topping the group when they beat Bayern Munich 1-0 on the last match day. Chelsea coming in second behind Flamengo in their group, and have been maybe playing their way into the tournament. right? They lost to Flamengo outright, got red carded in that game. They move on to the third match day, and they pretty easily were able to take care of business. Benfica have impressed. So what do you think about this matchup, the all-Euro clash here?
All-Euro clash indeed, Dev. And this is going to be a simple handicap for me here, Dev. Over 2.5 set plus money here. And that's what I want. Over 2.5 goals in this match, Dev. Look, we were frustrated. We lost 4 units on that Benfica Bayern match because we could not get the goals that we needed. Frustrating stuff, and that was the same scoreline that Benfica and Bayern saw when they met in the Champions League earlier this season, which we had talked about on the show. So for whatever reason, when Bayern and Benfica meet, it's cagey and weird, and somehow goalkeepers stand on their heads and goals aren't scored. That's not enough to put me off the scent here, Dev. This is a Benfica match. They tend to see a lot of goals. I think they're too open. I'm not convinced by their defense. And guess what? I could say the same thing about Chelsea Football Club, Dev. They have the talent going forward. They have a very stout midfield, but I'm not convinced by that defense here. So I think this is going to be a pretty open game. I think we're getting a decent price on it because of some of the caginess that it wasn't even cagey, that Bayern Benfica game, but because of the scoreline and the fact that this is a knockout. I can't see. I mean, both teams to score was the first way I was going to look at this. Just bring that 1-1 on side, minus 125, totally playable. I got greedy, Dev, and I wanted that better price, and I think we see 3 goals. I think this could even get to more than that. I think it's going to be open, as I say, and I think we do see goals at both ends.
Yeah, well, you take a look at Benfica games. Both teams have scored in 5 of the last 7 Benfica matches across all comps here. 3 head-to-head straight wins for Chelsea in this fixture. Of course, they have not played since 2013, so we'll go ahead and throw that one out. Jordan, I like to just stay off this one. This is too variant to me. I don't know. I don't trust Benfica. I think they put up really good XG numbers. You take a look in this tournament, they are 3rd in expected goals created in this tournament through 3 matches, only behind Manchester City and Bayern Munich. So they can do it going forward, okay? So I like where your head's at there, going with the over. We know Chelsea can get on the score sheet. Liam Delap has looked very good for them coming in the new number 9 role. But for me, Jordan, I could just see it going any number of ways here, and I didn't want to get involved. So I'm staying off this one. I wish you luck with the total there.
Appreciate it, bro. Appreciate it.
Well, let's move on to Sunday's matchups. And the first one we're going to take a look at here is Paris Saint-Germain against Club Internacional de Football, Miami. And this one sees PSG as favorite, 2-goal favorites here, -2. Total is set at 3.5. Jord, PSG, I told everyone to take futures out on them to win this tournament, and now I'm wondering if that was a bad investment because I'm not sure how interested in this they are, right? They seem to be a team that maybe is ready to get on their vacation after winning the Champions League, probably the bigger tournament to them. Inter Miami surprised me. Okay, they're putting up goals everywhere. Messi is absolute magic. And this one will be played now in Atlanta, so I guess Miami won't have this sort of home field Miami advantage. But I'm guessing that's going to be a bit of a neutral stadium, maybe even leaning towards Miami anyway. But Jordan, what do you think about this one with Paris facing off against Miami?
We did well with our futures in that group with Palmeiras and Inter Miami, Dev. But it was the brain trust, right? You had to take that Palmeiras would win the group. I said Inter Miami would get out. We didn't necessarily believe each other, but we were both right about something there. So good job to us. Pat on the back for getting that group spot on in the end. So, yeah, I don't know that PSG don't care about this. I think they have looked a little lackluster. I mean, it feels like such a long time ago that we were at the Rose Bowl watching them dismantle Atletico Madrid, and there was no thought in our heads that they weren't taking it seriously then. But then they get that loss to Botafogo, which was a huge shock to the world. But, you dive into the numbers of that game, and if you watch the game back, even look at the highlight packages, it's all PSG. They're completely dominant. They just couldn't get the goal. And even the goal they conceded was kind of fluky, kind of wonky. They did get in behind Botafogo, but it was a deflected shot that goes off of Pacho's leg and beats Donnarumma, who's expecting it to go the other way. So kind of unlucky there. And we've seen PSG struggle with putting the ball in the back of the net at certain times as well against more robust competition than that. We've talked about the Liverpool game as well. Seattle Sounders game, they didn't cover the spread, but it was 2-0, so you pushed out on that. If you had the -2 for PSG, tidy result. So, and Seattle actually gave a pretty good account of themselves in this tournament, I have to say, for a team that, didn't advance and is of a lower stature. I thought they did pretty well. They were kind of frisky in a weird way and had chances in all of their games, had chances to score against PSG as well, but that's a different thing here. I'm just pushing back a little bit on that PSG aren't interested. I think they are focused. I think they very much miss Dembele, and I do believe he will be back for this match, and that's going to be a huge boost. I do expect him to start, or maybe that's just I'm hoping he starts. I do expect him to feature. Maybe he does come on at 60th minute or something, which would be absolutely terrifying if you're Inter Miami, who tend to get leggy at the end of these matches. So I think he could be the X factor here. I do expect PSG to get through, but that price there, Dev, on both teams to score, yes, -125. I'm not sure that the Infantino FIFA conspiracy is going to continue long enough to get Inter Miami into the quarterfinals, but I do think that there's enough Messi magic, enough Miami hoodoo that they can get on the score sheet here and make this competitive, at least for a little while. I do fear for them in the second half towards the end of the game, but that both teams to score, yes, is just a little too tempting for me here, Dev. -125, that's going to be my play.
Jordan Bob DeVita in the chat right now says PSG win to 0 at +120. It's the MLS, guys. Yeah, I hear you. What's interesting to me about this is that you mentioned it. Against Seattle Sounders, PSG was also a 2-goal favorite. I don't think there's anyone who would say Sounders are better than Miami. That was played in Seattle as well. So I think there is some value getting that Miami +2 here. If I was going to take a side, I guess I would take that. I'm not going to, Jordan. I'm actually going directly opposite you here. I'm going with both teams to score no. So I'm sort of with you there, Bob DeVita, saying the win to 0 here, but I'm not even going to mess with that. It's totally playable on its own. BTTS no at -106. We've seen both teams to score no hit in all 3 of PSG's games. Of course, that Botafogo one was a bit of an outlier. You mentioned it was an unlucky goal to concede. PSG have not conceded. Aside from that goal, they had not conceded in 4 of the last 5. So they're keeping clean sheets. They're really, really difficult to play against. And let's not forget, this is the first time that they'll be playing indoors. They get to go to nice, air-conditioned, cool Mercedes-Benz Stadium. They don't have to worry about the elements. Sure, that's where Miami will be playing as well, but I just think they'll be able to play their football a little bit better, connect with some of the passing, and really make things difficult here for Miami. I don't see Miami getting a lot of chances. The thing that scares me would be like the Messi magic, right? Free kick somewhere. The guy's I'm shocked when he misses, honestly, these free kicks from outside the box. The guy's truly incredible. So I'm banking it doesn't happen. It seems like that's basically where our bet lies. We both think Paris are going to score, and then it's just a matter of can Miami get on the score sheet. And you and I just have different opinions on it, Jord. May the best man win.
That's right, Dev. So we can go ahead and delete that from the tournament there as we're Oppo. We cancel each other out. And just a quick reminder, Dev, it's called soccer, not football.
Thank you for that reminder. Although, my play has a little bit better juice, but yeah, we'll cancel them out. But there's another matchup, and for my money, Jord, this is the best matchup of this first round. It is Flamengo against Bayern Munich. This one sees Bayern as favorites here, 3/4 of a goal, -0.75. Total is set at 2.75. Bit of a surprising round 1 matchup, only because Flamengo topped their group, which they weren't favored to do, but I wouldn't say is that surprising. They are the top team in Brazil right now. And Bayern Munich failing to score against Benfica means that they drop down to second place and now have to face off against Flamengo. So what do you think about this matchup, Jord?
Well, I kind of like what I was talking about with Benfica earlier in the show. That last round, that match between Benfica and Bayern, not enough to put me off here, Dev. I'm going back to the well here. I think there are goals in this match. I think the majority of them probably come from Bayern. I was tempted to take the over 2.75 in this one. I'm expecting Vincent Kompany not to fuck around and be starting Tom Bischoff. Can we get Olise and Kane in there, please? Not only because I have a goddamn future on Kane to win the Golden Boot. Guy never plays somehow. So that would be great. And obviously, Kompany realized he was in the shit because he subbed them in at halftime. I expect them to start. I expect this to be the Bayern we know and love. And I think that they're just going to have a little too much quality for Flamengo here, who I have been impressed with. They kind of hoodwinked me in the first game where I thought they were a completely different team than they've turned out to be. I thought they were kind of a possession, dull, kill the clock game and just keep rotating as a metronome with Jorginho. Hasn't been that case ever since then, so maybe that was the outlier feeling their way into the tournament. So I actually think this could be kind of open, Dev, but my play for this game, my official play, because I can't pass up this price, Bayern Munich to score in both halves, plus 150. Astonishing price. And again, not scared off of it from that Benfica game. Bayern had so many chances when they had their cookers out there. I expect those cookers to be out here, Dev, and I think they can get me a goal in each half.
Yeah, well, Benfica, would have something to say about that, Jordan. Holding them to 2 halves scoreless, but maybe that means they're due here to go on and score some goals because Flamengo is not going to sit back here. They're going to come out and they're going to play. We saw that against Chelsea. I thought they dominated Chelsea. If you really watch that game, the way they combined, Chelsea had nothing they could do against them. And this Bayern team plays a very, very dangerous high line. They're going to want to possess the ball, be in the opponent's half the whole time. And if they turn it over, it's going to be a very quick counter. Flamengo very fast and very skilled at playing link-up play with each other. So I worry about Bayern Munich here. I think Flamengo get through this one, Jord. And wow, you could take the 3/4 of a goal here, which would cash you if it does go to extra time. I'm trusting my gut here and saying I think Flamengo right now, today, are the better team. And I'm taking them at plus 225 to advance here. Maybe I'm just scorned from Bayern the last round, screwing us over, being unable to score. You're right. They made substitutions and put in their best team. But where were those substitutions in the first half? Oh, they were sitting inside in the air conditioning like a bunch of little pussies. It's the softest thing I've ever seen. And it's the German teams who continue to do it is put their subs in the nice air conditioned room at halftime. And look, I'm not going to blame the players. I'm sure it's the trainers and the staff saying, hey, you got to do this. We've checked the metrics and this is how it is. It's a terrible look. And they're going to need to do it again in this game because they're playing in Miami at 3 p.m. It's going to be hot. It's going to be humid. It's going to be disgusting out there. And I think Flamengo is going to thrive in that. They have a really, really interesting young coach here, Felipe Luis, former Chelsea player, who's a really hot coaching prospect now in the Brazilian Serie A. Just so hot right now, Hansel. So hot right now. And I think they're going to pull this off. I think this is going to be an upset. So that's where I'm putting my money, Jordan. I'm taking them plus 225 to advance, even if it goes to extra time. Remember, bets on the screen right now, and most bets that you make in soccer, especially elimination, are going to be 90 minutes plus stoppage time bets. If we get extra time, if we go into additional time and then a penalty shootout, that's when you have to start looking at the 2 advanced numbers or 2 lift the trophy. There's different wording they have on different books. So just be sure you're aware of that as you go into betting these things. But when you combine the elements, what I've seen from Flamengo and a Bayern team who can be very terrifying on their day, but Flamengo won't be scared of them. I think this is going to be a really, really fun match, Jordan. And I'm taking a dart throw here.
Yes, dart throw. Why must you disparage us? It's hard. We prefer air conditioning. We had a hand in inventing air conditioning, Germans. So we just want to appreciate it. And now you've turned your back on us after one match. And look, both bets can be true, as Bob DeVita says in the chat. Both bets can be true. 3-2 Flamengo. Why not? Hey, totally true, Bob. You make a good point there. Yeah, I'd be happy with that. I do think
I'm fine with it.
that Dev is a little scorned from the last round and maybe giving a little too much enthusiasm to the Brazilian teams, or not enthusiasm. I think they've caught your eye. You're enamored with them. I think maybe they've hoodwinked you a little bit here. I think the talent on display here for Bayern, if they take it seriously, may be too much for them. But hey, it's going to be a fun one to watch, Dev, and I hope Bob's right that we both cash.
Yeah, Flamengo, no losses across all competitions in 11 straight.
Huge.
Yeah, they have caught my eye, George, because they've all four advanced into this round, and Flamengo has been the best of the lot for my money. Have played the toughest schedule and come out on top of that group. So, yeah, this is my thing. And if you guys have made it this far and you're interested in this stuff, this covers that just covered through Saturday and Sunday of this tournament. Throw us a subscribe, throw us a like on the video. If everybody watching live did right now, it would help us out tremendously. So if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that button. We'd appreciate it. And let's move on to Monday's matchups, Jordan. And we have Internazionale Milano against Fluminense. Oof, two just incredible team names to say. Inter here, 3/4 of a goal favorites, minus 0.75. The total set at 2.25. Jordan's another Brazilian club against a Euro giant. What do you think about this matchup on Monday?
I don't know what to think about this matchup, Dev. Fluminense, the team from Brazil that I watched the least in this tournament, did not catch. I only watched one of their matches, and I guess I picked the right one because it was that absolute thriller with, help me out, a lot of goals.
Olsen HD.
That was the one. Yep, they went behind to Olsen and then came all the way back. A fantastic match. I was glad I tuned into that one. But it's a really small sample size there. I'm not quite sure what to make of them. I don't know enough about them. And Inter, while they have kind of grown into the tournament a little bit, I'm still not convinced. I'm not exactly sure I see what Christian Kivu is doing out there, which is maybe unfair to say about him because he is a new coach. He hasn't had a lot of time with the players. So it probably isn't much more than him just saying, all right, guys, just keep doing what you've been doing the last few months and we'll take care of this after the tournament. Just run around and do stuff. And that seems to be kind of what's happening out there. They've got a lot of talented players, of course, and that kind of works. So he's kept the wingback system going. Denzel Dumfries finally came back. I think that was a big help. So I make Inter favorites here. I agree with the market. I probably could take him on the money line, but I'm not convinced by either team or just don't know enough about Fluminense is more accurate. So I elected to stay off of this one, Dev.
Right on, Jordan. Well, I'm going back to the well here. I'm doing another correct score halftime bet, 0-0. And that one coming in here at plus 162. Look, Fluminense have actually conceded the least expected goals in this tournament thus far, only behind Bayern Munich. Okay, 1.7 1.7 xG conceded through their 3 games. They are a park the bus team, similar to Botafogo. They're fine sitting back, and we've seen that kind of trouble Inter Milan so far in this tournament because that's all they've been playing against, right? They had Monterrey and a 1-1 draw in their opening match, which felt like a loss somehow. We're down to Uraro Red Diamonds for most of that match before they came back and won a late 2-1. And then it took until the second half to get 2 goals against River Plate in an absolute bloodbath of a match. So I'm expecting more of the same here. I think this will be really tight, really cagey to start off with. Fluminense may be thinking, look, we got to last till halftime, wait till they get tired here, and then we will try to press them. These Euro teams not handling the heat very well. This one taking place in processing. Charlotte, North Carolina. It's going to be brutal once again. A lot of heat, a lot of humidity. Midday match. Woo, no thank you. It's going to be brutal out there. So once again, I would slightly maybe favor Fluminense, but they have been the worst, I think, of all of the Brazilian teams. So I wouldn't put my money on them, but I am going with that correct score at halftime, 0-0. Both teams head into the locker room with some changes needing to be made here. But plus 162, I'll take it for my money, Jordan. Devin seems to love a 0-0, Catherine says in the chat. I wouldn't say I love it, but I like the opportunity to make money because how often are you disappointed when you're watching a match and you go, oh my God, there's no scoring anywhere? Well, at least we can profit from it this way. And it leaves the second half to maybe have some fun. But let's move on, George, to our late match on Monday. It's Manchester City against Al-Hilal of Riyadh. This one sees Man City as goal and a half favorites, minus 1.5, and the total is set at a flat 3. George, Man City, pretty scary. Looks like they're coming on here. Looks like they're starting to cook a little bit. They're looking like the old Man City. And they got to match up against this Al-Hilal team who have been no slouches and have actually, I thought, been pretty impressive. The team from Saudi Arabia. What do you think about this matchup here, Jordan?
Yeah, Dev. A lot of talk about how Imperious City are looking now, and I don't know that I disagree with it, but I might offer a little bit of pushback. I think their first two matches were against two of the softest teams in the tournament, arguably among the 3 to 4 worst teams in the competition. So I'm not too impressed by them taking care of those teams. Obviously, the Juventus team that Man City just dismantled also took care of those teams. So take that with a grain of salt. Then we focus on the Juventus match itself, and I was a little surprised that it was so straightforward, right? Because it's been a while since we've seen Man City click like that and score a bunch of goals and just look that dominant. But then I remember that, well, first of all, Juventus surprisingly did a little pep roulette of their own, did some rotation there, didn't start one of the players of the tournament in Kenan Yildiz. That was bizarre. Maybe they didn't care about winning the group. I guess that's an argument. Some of these managers have really been annoying me with that, but mostly due to fantasy rather than betting. But this Man City, I just don't know that, or I'm sorry, this Juventus team, cast your mind back to just a couple of months ago. They weren't good. Okay, they were kind of a joke in Serie A. They've fallen from the heights that they've come to know in recent seasons, and it's kind of been pathetic. Their fan base not happy, and the coaching carousel continues for Juventus. It's like a new coach comes in, and maybe similar to Christian Kivu coming into Inter, don't want to be too harsh on Igor Tudor here because he has an incredible name, first of all, but also because he hasn't had time to really do anything. And because of that, I don't think this Juventus team is really much improved from the Juventus they were before he took over. And so I'm not sure that I'm so impressed by that result for Man City either. The one thing that I find encouraging from it, though, is that they're scoring goals again, Dev. The players seem to be in good nick. Even Phil Foden is in amongst the goals, which is just crazy because the guy had such a hard fall off. The new signings they've made have come in and scored goals. So I take your point. They do seem to be clicking, and I do think they have enough to get past Al-Hilal, who, on the other side of this, I agree, liked them coming into this, bet them on a future to qualify from their group at nice plus money. That cash, that was great. But they can't score goals, Dev. They're struggling in front of goal, and I think that's because the big man, Alexander Mitrovic, is not able to feature for them. He's so key to what they do. They need a guy to put away the chances that they're creating, and they don't have it. And I'm sad to report that he will not be back for this one either. That makes me think that there's no chance for them to advance out of this match. I think City go through. I like City to win the game, and I think there will be over 2.5 goals in the match. Put those together, you get minus 125. I think that's fair enough. City could score all 3 goals themselves, but I could see Al-Hilal getting on the score sheet as well.
Yeah, Jordan, well, thanks for vamping there because it is Friday night, baby, and it's time for me to crack another cold one here.
Cheers, baby. Cheers.
Yeah, Jordan, I'm with you. I'm all over City here. I talked about it as I introduced the game here that I think they're clicking. I think we're seeing old Pep again. I think he's got a chip on his shoulder. Team's got a chip on their shoulder, and they are absolutely dominating teams. You mentioned our old favorite Pep Roulette, right? We don't know who's going to start. We don't know who's coming in the game. It's really frustrating from like a fantasy and sometimes betting perspective. But what I see now is that he has 2 full teams, basically 2 starting 11s, I guess minus the keeper, that he can throw out there. And I think in a tournament where we've seen tremendous fatigue at the end of these games in terrible conditions, you bring out a fresh starting 5 or 6, players out there in the second half of these games, they're going to tear teams apart. So not only am I going to take them here on the spread -1.5, I think they win this by 2. I don't think Pep settles until his team is up by 2. If they're only up by 1, there's always the weird goal and they can have a draw thing come in. So I think they continue to push forward. They'll continue to possess the ball. We know they're going to do that. They've led the tournament thus far in expected goals, big chances created, shots on target, all of the major offensive categories. They are front and center in all of them, and they don't even really need Erling Haaland. He sort of comes in the second half. They just can hurt you in so many ways. They're really clicking together. This team's terrifying, and I'm not only going to take them here -1.5. I'm taking them on the futures market to win the tournament, Jordan.
Whoa.
I'm putting that ticket in now, baby. I'm putting it in now, plus 275-ish, I think. And that comes down to more you look at the bracket the side of the bracket that they're on here, because they get to avoid Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, who are the other big teams here? PSG, and I believe the only team they'll have to play is going to be Inter or Chelsea. Those would be the sort of the classic big teams, or some guys from Brazil. They don't even play Flamengo, who I think is the best Brazilian team. So all those other teams are on the opposite side of the bracket. I think City's going to walk here to the final. And at that point, maybe I'll be able to hedge out against them because I assume they'll be favorites. So I'm taking that plus 275 now. It was better last night as they were kicking Juventus's ass. It was actually plus 325. So it's already moved 50 cents there to the worse, but I'm still willing to take it here, getting plus 275. I'm going to make that official play, Jordan. Manchester City to win this thing. And then let's hope it's Man City versus PSG, baby, and I can just sit pretty. Somebody's making me money.
That's right, Dev, because you did have PSG at the start of this thing to be the ones to hoist that trophy. So, yeah, it would be fantastic for you to enter the final with 2 tickets live for that. Love the way you're thinking, Dev. It's a bold shout, and I just have to echo something you said. It's so funny how many times we've cursed Pep Roulette. It's like, hey, it's Pep Roulette, but now it doesn't matter. We don't care who he puts out there because they're all getting in on it. Everybody's scoring. The old guard, Gundogan's scoring goals. The new guys are coming in, getting their debut goals. You love to see it. Everyone except for Omar Marmoush is scoring goals because he's still representing the Man City where players come to die narrative that you have bandied about a few times. Cheers, Marmoush.
Well, I mean more their sort of unique flair, but we'll see. Ryan Cherky's the new guy. He seems to have no problem putting some flair on. Over in the chat, we've got... Go ahead.
I was just going to say, he got out of Lyon just in time before Lyon got demoted to Ligue 2.
Ligue 2. Bob DeVita says, it's a good hedge for my PSG to win or come in second. Great hedge for it, Bob. I love it. I expect to see those two in the final, but we shall see. Let's move on, George. We got one more...
Not
what's up?
So fast.
Uh-oh.
You have another play for this game, Dev, specific to the game. The game.
Man City -1.5. I said that.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I'm taking them on the spread here. I think they win by 2 goals. I talked about Pep and the 2 goals thing. Anyway, let's move on, George. Tuesday's matches. We've got Real Madrid against Juventus. This one sees Real as favorites here of 3/4 of a goal, -0.75. Total is set at 2.5. Jordan, once again, it's European giants, although it's not our father's Juventus, who never should have gotten rid of Zidane. But they did, and now they find themselves against a Real Madrid side who look like maybe they're starting to play some Xabi Alonso ball in this tournament. What do you think about this matchup, Jordan?
That's right, Dev. Juventus never should have gotten rid of Zidane, but hey, he's waiting in the wings for a coaching job. If Igor Tudor crashes and burns, maybe he comes in. Also, Juventus never should have gotten rid of Paul Pogba. He's coming back to Ligue 1, where he's going to play for Monaco, and I, for one, can't wait to see it. To focus on this match here, Dev, I'm getting a little loose, as Bob DeVito points out in the chat, telling me to slow down on my Miller Lights.
Wow.
Yeah, I did miss your... play on that last one. So touche, Bob. Yeah, look.
It's Friday night, baby. Come on. We're having fun.
It's Friday night. I expect Igor Tudor to have one of the players of the tournament in Kenan Yildiz, the young Turk, out there in this match, and probably have his full strength lineup out there. No more fucking around here. No Igor roulette. And Does Mbappe play? I've seen mixed reports. There was talk he was going to come back for the Salzburg match, and then Xabi Alonso said, nope, needs a little more time. There are some who say he won't play in this tournament, but there are some optimists over in France reporting that he may make his debut of the tournament in this match. I would love to see it here, Dev, because I'm expecting a pretty open game here. I think this could be a fun one. I was torn between taking just the over and then bringing in or taking both teams to score yes. I elected to go both teams to score yes just in case there is some knockout caginess. I mean, it is one and done. It does seem to be a little more easygoing of a tournament overall, but I do sometimes fear the general caginess of the knockout rounds. So I just went for the minus 110, both teams to score yes, to bring in that 1-1, although I do expect someone to win this thing. You could combine them. Both teams to score yes and over 2.5, get some nice plus money there. But yeah, I'm happy with both teams to score yes here, Dev, minus 110.
Yeah, Jordan, I'm correlated with you here. I'm not going to take the both teams score. I'm just going with the over 2.5. Because I could see a world where this is 3-0. And if that's the case, I'd like to be on the winning side of it. Yeah, Jordan, I actually kind of disagree with you. I hope, in terms of the betting for this, I hope Mbappe doesn't show up, because I think they're starting to really fix some things in Madrid. They're starting to look like a Xabi Alonso team. They're figuring some stuff out. Getting Vinny Jr. and Jude Bellingham sort of being the attacking focal points of this team, similar to how they were 2 years ago when they went on that run and were able to win the Champions League. Mbappe, are they worse with Mbappe? Is that where I'm going with this? I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure he's a 9. I'm not sure he's a traditional number 9 striker. I think he wants to play on the wing, and maybe he can, because it looks like Rodrigo's also sort of run afoul of Xabi Alonso here. He's not getting as much run. And this, I want to give a shout out to, I believe it's Gonzalo with a G. They're Madrid's 9.
The guy
Gonzalo.
The guy you hated in round 1 when we needed both teams to score an over 2.5 in that Al-Hilal game, and you were like, "Who's this fucking new striker they got up here? Guy sucks."
Listen. Betting brings the worst out of all of us, you know. Yeah, he's figuring out. He's a young kid. He's a new player. So I'm a little bit worried that maybe this turns into some caginess. The Juventus realizes they play in Serie A and are Italian, and they go, "Oh, we don't want to actually go forward. We just want to play defense." But I don't think they will, because they've actually put up a ton of goals in this tournament so far. And we've got some comments flying in here. Our father says,
he's
Jack, here. He's here. He says, "Damn straight they should have kept Zidane. Pick him up as a coach." Yeah, that sounds like a good idea, Father. Thank you. Kaidi in the chat says Yildiz versus Arda Güler possibility. I like that. We've got the two young Turks. The young attacking Turks, two great players now on display in this one. So should be a lot of fun. This one kicking off in Miami Gardens. It's going to be hot. It's going to be sweaty. It's going to be 3 p.m. local time. So what does the Heat do for totals? I don't know. It's been hot. We've seen tons of goals. We've seen cagey games. So I'm not really sure. Either way, we're correlated here, Jordan. I think we can both cash this, and I hope to see it.
Yeah, Dev, I just wanted to bring up something about, I don't know if you saw about our American soccer players, Weston McKennie and Tim Weah, who play for Juventus, making the news again, not just because of their visit to the White House last week. This time, they've turned all of Italy against them for saying that Italian food's overrated and that American Italian is actually better. I don't necessarily disagree with them, but boy, would I not say that if I played for Juventus.
No, that's a completely insane thing to say. If you've been to Italy, the quality of product is so much better. It's not even close. Although, we'll bring Nick Tiani on, hopefully again in this one of these knockout rounds. Maybe he can tell us Italian-American himself. Yeah.
Also, Dev, Serie A Player of the Season and title winner Scott McTominay said that he had never really tasted what a tomato could be until he arrived in Naples. And he's just like, it's a different thing. It's like an entirely different thing.
It is. It really is.
Incredible
Yeah.
take from Scott McTominay.
Jordan, I was surprised to see this. I know Real Madrid are 3/4 of a goal favorites here in the 90 minutes, but them to advance is minus 334. Juventus plus 240. A little bit disrespectful. I mean, I think we both lean Madrid here, as do the bookies, but a little disrespectful. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked to see Juventus get something here.
Yeah, maybe not shocked, but as I said earlier, they're weak. They beat up on some minnows and then got pasted by City.
Well, we got to move on. We're going long here. You're slurring. We got one more matchup here.
Give me another Miller.
In the round of 16, Jord. And if you guys have made it this far, thank you so much. Please hit the subscribe button. You're already here. Hit subscribe, like the video. If everybody watching in the chat did this, it would help us out a lot. You made it this far. You like something that's going on here. And Jord, let's move on to our final match here. It is Borussia Dortmund against Monterrey. This one sees Dortmund's 3/4 of a goal favorites, and the total is set at 2.5. Jord, Dortmund to advance, minus 275. Monterrey, plus 200 to advance. Monterrey, unbeaten through their 3 games. I believe Dortmund as well, but they've been doing it with defense. Sergio Ramos looks like he's 25 again, sliding in 2-foot challenges in the box. Incredible scenes. Scoring goals. I've enjoyed this Monterrey team a lot, the one Liga MX team that has made it this far. But now they come up against a German team that's going to be so hot, they're going to need the air conditioning inside. And what do you think about this matchup here, Jordan?
I don't understand. You continue to disparage us. Again, our culture helped create air conditioning. We respect it. Look, Dev, I elected to stay off of this one. Not much analysis here. The reason I'm staying off it, because I got a future on Borussia Dortmund to make the quarterfinals at plus 120. Now they're minus 275 to make the quarterfinals. So obviously I'm going to sit this one out and cheer on the Yellow Wall boys of Dortmund.
Dortmund. Yeah, Jordan, I'm doing something very similar when I've seen these defensive teams, as we mentioned with the Brazilian teams, taking that first half, cutting this game in half here because it's going to be hot. And I think tired legs in the second half will lead to more goals, but I'm going to play this one a little bit different. I'm going to go over to the Asian total market. First half under 1 goal, because there could be a goal. I could see a goal. If there is, then you'd push out of this as long as there's only one. But I could see this being a 0-0 scoreline. If it is, once again, it's plus 108. Monterrey, like I said, they're doing it with defense, and they're led by an absolute just dog in center back position there in Sergio Ramos. He's been incredible. There'll be a lot of home support here for this team. This one being played inside, actually, here at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So I guess it won't be that hot, and I guess Dortmund won't be crying about it because they'll have their air conditioning out there on the pitch. But, yeah, Jordan, I think Monterrey will make it difficult for a while, but eventually Dortmund will break through. So that's pretty much the extent of my handicap there. Is first half under 1 goal at plus 108.
That's right.
We got to go ahead.
I was going to say, Dev, you continue to fade fun with these first half unders, first half 0-0s. I understand it, though, completely. You mentioned the dog, Sergio Ramos. Love seeing all the stories being written about him through this Club World Cup. Reminded me the other day, he looks exactly like Val Kilmer if Val Kilmer went to prison for 20 years and then came out and was a social media influencer.
Love that. That's a good one, Jordan. And R.I.P. Val Kilmer, one of the best to do it.
Iceman.
Well, Jordan, that's going to do it for us. That's all the ball games. That's 8 games that we covered here. Tons of plays for you guys. We got people in the chat. They're arguing about Italian restaurants, so we're going to leave those ones for the chat. Thank you guys so much for chiming in, though. And Jordan, before we get out of here, there's something we got to do.
We do indeed, Dev, because it's one thing to talk about these matches, and it's quite another to put our money where our mouths are and pay the bookie.
Chuck, I'm going to tell you something. You have that fucking 200 in my hands tomorrow. If you ain't got the 200 in my fucking hands tomorrow, I'll break every fucking bone in your body.
Well, Jordan, that is all 8 matches. Let's throw up our official plays on the board here. Both of us coming in here with a bunch of stuff. I'll read mine off for you. Man City to win this thing, plus 275. Look, it's old Pep, baby. He's got 2 full squads. I think they're going to roll through this. They're on the easy side of the bracket. I like Man City to win this thing. Maybe hedge out later when you get to the final. Palmeiras against Botafogo. Halftime, exact score 0-0, plus 137. PSG, Inter Miami, both teams to score no, minus 106. Flamengo to advance against Bayern Munich, plus 225. Inter Fluminense, exact score halftime 0-0, plus 162. Manchester City to win their matchup against Al-Hilal, minus 1.5 at minus 105. Real Madrid against Juventus, over 2.5 goals in the match, minus 118. And finally, Dortmund Monterrey, first half under 1 on the Asian total at plus 108. Look at all that plus money, George. You love to see it.
Yeah, Jesus, Dev, I thought you were filibustering there. So many plays. I'll get to mine here. I've got
You
Botafogo.
sent me. We sent the games, baby. We got 8 games. I gotta have plays for them.
That's right, Dev. Botafogo double chance and under 3.5 goals at minus 125. Benfica Chelsea, keeping it simple, over 2.5 goals, minus 106. PSG Inter Miami, here comes the Oppo. I'm saying both teams to score yes, minus 125. Bayern Munich to score in both halves at a robust plus 150. I love that. Man City to win and over 2.5 goals in their match at minus 125. And finally, Real Madrid Juventus. Both teams to score yes. And of course, still riding Borussia Dortmund to make the quarterfinals.
Right on, Jordan. Well, that's going to do it for us. If you guys made it this far, please give us a like, a subscribe, a follow. Really appreciate it. We're available on all the different social media channels. We are on all the podcast channels, including YouTube or X or Twitch, where you may be watching this live. And if you're a sicko like us, you love betting, you're going to want to get more of our plays and see more of our content here. So go ahead and hit that follow, hit that subscribe. We'd appreciate it. And Jord, I'm looking forward to these matches. We got a lot of plays. I'm going to have action on every day, which makes me happy. Any last words for the people here?
It makes me happy too, Dev. And look, good news. Next round, we've only got 4 matches that we have to cover. It just keeps getting halved. That's the way this thing works. So fewer matches to discuss. Maybe we'll still have just as many plays, double dip on each of them. Who knows? We'll find out. Pretty sure our guy, Nick Diani, is going to come on and do the quarterfinals with us. So that'll be fun to have a guest once again. And just want to echo your sentiments, Dev. Thank you to everyone who joined us live. And thank you to everyone watching this after it's live and listening as well. We appreciate whatever platform you're on checking this out, helping us grow this thing. Let's make some money.
Let's make some money.
Martial.